Hi, it's Dorothy Guining with Scrapbooking Quebec. Today I'm playing along with Scraptember and the 30 Days of Sketches. This is a daily, month-long YouTube hop that's happening in September 2021. And each day there's a different sketch and a different prompt. So here's a sketch for today. It's day 26 and it's a page map sketch. And the prompt is to use wood veneer. So in the description box below, you're going to find a bunch of channel links for the people who are participating, and some are participating every day and others just from time to time. And there are two ways to find these videos. Number one is to look for this thumbnail on the channels. And number two is to check out Christy's Beautiful Life channel and her links below as well. She has a playlist on her channel with all of the videos, so there's tons of inspiration there. Here's what I'm going to be using. It's a bit of a stash bust based on the Simple Stories Cruisin collection. And I've added some wood grain paper as well as some wood veneer, of course. And I will be digging into my tools because when a collection is really picked over like this one, I often turn to my tools to create more embellishments. And here are the tools I'll be using. Some of them are pretty old, especially that Cricut cartridge. And I will list everything I'm using in the description box below as well. So here's what's on my desk. I prepared a frame style foundation with 3 sheets of paper and I gutted 2 of them. And there is a tutorial on my channel where I explain how to do that. So that will be linked up below as well. I'm showing you the 2 photos there that I matted with the paper that I gutted from behind the foundation page. There are the papers I'll be using, the stickers, and I'm showing you the wood veneer. Not very much, but that's all I have in my stash. I don't usually use wood veneer actually. There are the embellishments I have. Some of them are from the collection, some of them I already made, and that's a basket full of tools. So you're about to see the sketch pop up in the top left-hand corner, and the first thing you're probably going to notice is there are 6 photos there, and I'm only using 2, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Mine, of course, are bigger. What I'm doing right now is cutting down layers of paper that are going to be placed on top of the foundation page underneath the photos. And I will put measurements for all of these pieces a bit later on in the video when I adhere them to the page. What I'm doing for measurements on the screen, I'm putting measurements for the visible page parts only. And in this case, what that means is the big gray piece there with the map on it, that is the real size. But the other 3 pieces, the 2 black pieces as well as the blue piece, I cut them a little bit larger, and you're going to notice I tucked them underneath the photo map. So those pieces, when I put the measurements on the screen, will have a little asterisk beside it. So you can see how I plan to set up my page. I'm also showing you a planner page there, and I cut that out in advance with the die set that you see on the right. That is from Elizabeth Craft Designs. So that's actually going to be my journaling box as well as another layering piece. Now before adhering these pieces to the page, I'm just applying a bit of ink to that pale gray matte paper as well as the blue paper. And I used an ink called Morning Mist by VersaFine Claire. And now what you see me doing is adhering all of these pieces to the foundation page. Now I just want to talk about the sketch for a moment. You can see there are 6 small photos, and I'm using 2 mine measure 5 by 3.5 each. When I see a sketch like this, when the photos are all kind of in one big block, typically what I do is I fill in that block with photos that are convenient for me. In my case, I rarely use little tiny photos. So if I like a sketch but it has tiny photos, I just fill that area in with the photos that I have on hand. So I'm almost finishing adhering all of this to the page, but now what I have to do is incorporate that circle element that you see on the sketch, because that's a pretty important part of this page design. I'm just showing you the embellishing that I have on hand, but the first thing I'm going to do now is work on my title as well as that circular element. So you can see there I have a ship wheel. I cut that out with a Cricut cartridge, a really old one called Life is a Beach, and I cut it out at 4¼ inches in that wood grain paper there from Stampin' Up. I actually cut out a few layers and they are adhered one on top of the other just to make it a little bit thicker. Also, what I need is a title, and I'm going to show you two stamp sets here. Now, one of them is going to be for a title. That's the one I'm showing you right now. It's called Adventure Awaits from Stampin' Up. And the other one is called Sharing Sunshine, and that again is a newer one from Stampin' Up actually. That will be for an embellishment. But first I'm going to work on the title. So you see I have my Stampin' platform here, and I'm going to make a nice black title with this stamp set. And I want to talk about titles for a minute because on this page I really didn't have a lot of room for my thickers or for my alpha dies, and I wanted to have a title with an impact. And I find if I don't have enough room, a great option is to turn to my stamps. And so, for example, my title here is The Adventure Begins. For me to write that out in my alphas or in my alpha dies, it would have taken way too much room. And if I used really, really tiny alpha stickers, it wouldn't have had much of an impact. Now what you see me doing right now is stamping out a sun. So I had that circle there, and on top of it I stamped a little face, and later on when I adhere that to the page, I'll stamp out the sunbeams on the foundation page. But what I want to do right now is cut out these pieces that I've stamped. So for the title, I got out my dies. They are tag dies from Tim Holtz, real basic dies, but I absolutely love them. Very, very useful. And in that die collection, there is a reinforcer die as well. So I cut that out with that blue paper that was part of the foundation page that I gutted earlier. Now what you see me doing is cutting out a black circle, and you'll see why I did that a little bit later on. I'll explain that in a little bit. And now I'm cutting out one of those two suns, but I do it a bit crooked. So I'm really happy I stamped out a second one, and you'll see me punch that out with a punch a little bit later on. So I have all of my embellishing around me right now. And the first thing I'm showing you are what I cut out in advance with my die cutting machine. Basically, I used two different die collections. One of them from Stampin' Up called Smooth Sailing, and that was the small ship wheel, the anchor, as well as the rope. And the other one is called Under the Sea, another one by Stampin' Up, and that was that gray netting that I showed you. Also, what I did there was stamp out that other sun, and now you can see why I punched out that black circle. I'm placing it behind the ship wheel because I didn't like how I could see the blue paper and the white paper both peeking out from behind that ship wheel. So I put that black in there, made it more of a solid piece, and I'm much happier with that. So you can see how I'm placing my title there. I've got the tag overlapping my photo, the ship wheel there, and now what I'm doing is creating quite a significant embellishment cluster over there on the top right. So once I put the ship wheel down and the tag down, then I came in with that netting that I punched out with my die cutting machine off screen, and that served as a great foundation layer for an embellishment cluster. And now I'm coming in with the smaller pieces. You can see that anchor there as well as the rope. Both of those I made with my die cutting machine. But I did want to incorporate some color here because a lot of what I cut out in advance was either wood grain, black, or gray. So now I'm coming in with the ephemera pieces from the collection as well as these stickers, just to incorporate some red, yellow, and some of that blue in the embellishment clusters as well. So I have these stickers on wax paper there, and I'm trying to tuck it in, but that cluster is getting pretty big at the top there, and I'm having a hard time, especially with that netting, because everything is kind of getting caught up in it. But I do have an idea how I'm going to place everything. I add a few other hints of embellishing elsewhere on the page. You may have noticed it's off screen now, but there is a bit of that netting underneath that planner page at the bottom. And I'm also going to be adhering 3 word stickers in that bottom photo in the bottom left corner. Now before adhering the pieces, I did want to stamp those sunbeams on the foundation page, so you saw me do that, and later on I'll adhere the sun right underneath those sun rays. So I'm adhering all of this to the page, and I'm really actually quite happy with this embellishment cluster. It's almost forming an upside down L design here with this huge embellishment cluster. Again, my original plan was to probably put the title on top of that ship wheel like you see on this sketch. But when I found that stamp that said "The Adventure Begins," which was perfect for this story, I knew I couldn't accommodate it on top of the ship wheel without actually covering the whole thing, which is why it ended up going over towards the left. And then I started filling in the area on top of it. So essentially creating this huge embellishment cluster there, and I'm quite happy with it. There you see me going down in the bottom left with those stickers, those word stickers, and now I'm just going to add some finishing touches here. I do have to add some wood veneer because that is one of the prompts, and the only wood veneer I could find are these little hearts. I think they were from Felicity Jane, but the color of the wood actually didn't match the wood grain in the paper. It was more yellow. So I got out this Stampin' Blends. It's an alcohol marker from Stampin' Up in a red. It's called Cherry Cobbler. And I actually altered the wood veneer and I'm quite happy with it. I'm letting it dry right now. I do not want to get red ink elsewhere on my page. So I'm adding a little bit of twine at this point. One to that anchor there. There's like a little loop at the top. And at this point, I actually tie myself a bow with the same twine, but I know right off the bat I don't like it because the bow is different from the way I attach the twine in the anchor. So later on, you're going to see I attach the twine to the tag in the very same way. I'm trying to find a place for that wood veneer, and finally I ended up putting it in the middle of that ship wheel. And the only thing I did off camera, there's a couple things I did. There was a piece of ephemera that is where that wooden heart piece of ephemera is now. It had said in blue writing, "I need vitamin C," or something like that. I didn't like it because it wasn't properly cut. When the manufacturer cut out the piece, it was a little offside. So I replaced it with that wooden heart, another piece of ephemera. I also did my journaling, of course, and you may notice in the middle of that ship wheel, there is a little, it's like a cardboard flare. It was part of the kit that I put together that you saw at the beginning. It's from an old Carta Bella collection, I think. And on top of that is where I added the wood veneer. I only added it in one place, but at least I got some wood veneer on the page. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, Scrapbooking Quebec, I would be absolutely thrilled if you did. And if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. Have a fantastic day. Don't forget to check out the other participants. Their links are in the description box below, and I'll see you soon on YouTube. Bye-bye.